29 June 2020, and I'm joined by Mr. Jaison Midzi from the Zimbabwe People's Party. How are you, sir?
Thank you very much, Mr. Gambakwe. I'm very fine.
Okay, today we're going to be talking about the strange issue that happened in Zimbabwe in the past few days, which is the banning of all mobile transactions and their unbanning, and then the banning of the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. Are you aware of these events?
We are very aware of those events, and it's a pity that they are happening in such a way.
Okay, can you please briefly explain in your own understanding what is happening in Zimbabwe?
All right, I think you understand, Mr. Gambakwe, that we were here last week talking about corruption in Zimbabwe, where I said everyone is corrupt. I'm coming back to zoom in on that. I highlighted last week that money laundering is part of corruption. Now, I want to take you what has happened today now. We have zoomed into money laundering, where the speaker of the president's spokesperson, Mr. Nick Mangwana, published the banning of EcoCash. Mr. Nick Mangwana, I think I wouldn't forgive him because Mr. Nick Mangwana lived in the UK and his family still lives in the UK. He should know better and he should advise the president better. He should know what to speak and what not to speak. But let me come from the developed world's perspective. What Nick Mangwana said had some truth in it, that they had to ban EcoCash. But that's just nothing. That's nothing. Why do I say nothing? What is happening in Zimbabwe is called money laundering. And money laundering has 3 stages. Money laundering is done by corrupt government officials, by terrorists, and by drug traffickers. So when people get money from those illegal means, they then seek to clean that money so that it appears legal or legally accessed. So that's the situation we are seeing in Zimbabwe. That's the situation we saw with the arrest of Minister Obadiah Moyo, because he has just joined the government, a moving ship or a moving bus, whose operations he doesn't know. He's from the medical background, and he didn't follow the steps of money laundering. He got his money using illegal means. He did not clean that money so that when he uses it, it appears legal. So he was caught on the wrong place or level of money laundering. Whereas his friends in ZANU-PF and in the government, they are very aware of what they are doing. Now, let me tell you something, Mr. Gambakwe. It's very unfortunate that our own Zimbabweans, they don't know the bad effects of the so-called American illegal sanctions. So those illegal sanctions have made ZANU-PF and its government to only involve in illegal activities so that they can access money. This is where we are as a nation. I will give you examples of countries which are on American sanctions. We have got China, we have Russia, we have Zimbabwe. Those are 3 countries. But a country can survive well under sanctions when it can mitigate those sanctions, when it can learn tricks to survive in the presence of sanctions. Russia manufactures arms of war and sells to different countries in Africa and in the developed world. That's how they mitigate sanctions, the effects of sanctions in their country. China, they manufacture cheap products and sell around the world. China, they are taking over Africa and they pretend to be giving loans to African countries, but they'll be benefiting from those loans, and they're mitigating the sanctions. Now, come to Zimbabwe. What are we producing? What are we selling to the world? Nothing. How are we surviving these sanctions? That brings us to these illegal activities you are seeing, which are manifesting in what Obadiah Moyo did. We are in a country which is nothing, which is almost like it's an empty case because of the sanctions. And how do they live? They live by all these shoddy dealings. That's why President Mnangagwa himself, he legalized mbanje. You saw musicians like, I don't know this musician who sang to legalize mbanje. So for him to legalize mbanje, which is part of the shoddy methods of making money, it means he's trying to justify the way the country is living at the moment. We have nothing to sell. We have no means of mitigating these sanctions. So what we can only do is to get into these shoddy dealings. So that's why I said everyone is corrupt, Mr. Gambakwe. Without that corruption, that country would be on a standstill. Whatever they are doing, that's what you can see. That's what we can see. And for us to be able to take Zimbabwe back to its knees, we really need people who understand how to live under sanctions, like the Chinese, like the Russians. Unfortunately, Zimbabweans don't know how to live under sanctions. And what we see is what we are getting.
Okay. So, Mr. Midzi, there was something very strange about the announcement by Nick Mangwana. Nick Mangwana is not working for the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. Why was he making the announcement?
Nick Mangwana, that country is operating on autopilot. Everything is very wrong. So they don't even know the methods, or what I can call anti-money laundering strategies. They don't involve banning EcoCash. It's just a tip in the iceberg. They involve a lot of things. They involve us being part of international anti-money laundering teams to fight that. They involve us having banks that people can trust. But which bank do you trust? Those banks should be able to check the background of every Zimbabwean and how that Zimbabwean is making money. That's why you see all these fake companies and all that stuff. So what Nick Mangwana said, whether they are going to implement or not implement that, it's not going to help anything in the situation that we have in Zimbabwe right now, because ZANU-PF and MDC have no methods of living under sanctions. They don't know how to live under sanctions like the Russians and the Chinese do. That's why we need new political players in Zimbabwe who know how to take Zimbabwe bright in this current bad scenario.
Okay, so that is the mobile part. Now let's go to the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange.
Does it exist?
What?
Stocking what?
Yes, indeed. The fact that they banned it and the fact that the billions are growing. At some point, we analyzed last year where the money grew from 1 billion to 6 billion within a very short space of time. Why are we banning the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange? Do we need the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange?
At the moment, those systems are not necessary in Zimbabwe because there are no procedures and policies being followed. A country without a sound financial policy cannot sustain anything. We have no sustainability to any system. Everything is collapsing. What you are seeing when you see that Zimbabwe Stock of Exchange, it's actually a system which is legitimizing shoddily amassed wealth. All those EcoCash things you are hearing about, they are methods of legitimize corruptly gained wealth by corrupt government officials, drug dealers, and financial terrorists.
Okay, so what would you do? Because they are trying to fix. If ZPP was in office, what would you do to solve this economy?
ZPP is unapologetically a political party that was founded by Zimbabweans in the diaspora. Why did we find this party? We didn't find this party to look for jobs in politics like we see in ZANU-PF and MDC, because we have our jobs. We are eating every day. We found this party so that we can clean the name of the country we come from. That green passport called the Zimbabwean passport, it follows you wherever you go around the world. When you say I'm a Zimbabwean in South Africa, they say these are the Makwerekweres. We have come to murder people and get money to kill people, or what? Xenophobia comes. When you have produced that green passport in Botswana, they say these are the Makwerekweres. They need to go back to their country. Same applies in the UK. We see people are involved in short methods to be able to live in the UK. But the government of the UK would want to say, go back to your country. So us in the ZPP, we said, let's clean our backyard called Zimbabwe, so that when people hear that I'm a Zimbabwean, they want to associate with me. Not they want to say, these are the people who are running away from poverty. These are the people who are running away from corruption. These are the people who are running away from sanctions. So we are coming here to give back to the community of Zimbabwe. Now, what are we going to do as Zimbabwe People's Party, as per your question? We have people who really know every corner of the world. We have people who have been around the world. We have been in Russia, we've been to China. Zimbabwe People's Party understands that for Zimbabwe to come back to normal, we need to have what we call meritocracy. Meritocracy is practiced by the Chinese Communist Party. You cannot lead if you have not proved to be a leader. You start in the lower ranks, get assessed. You are seen that you're a good leader, you can mitigate, you can do things, then you are given a position. That's what we are doing in the Zimbabwe People's Party. If you look at our constitution, if you look at our policies, they are all crafted to deal with the current situation in Zimbabwe, to the effect that if Zimbabwe People's Party is voted with the diaspora connections we have, the people, the Zimbabweans in diaspora, whom we have in the Zimbabwean People's Party and their knowledge, they can fix this thing over 3 months. Zimbabwe will be back to normal, because we know what is supposed to be done. Our government, they don't know. The way they were set up, MDC and ZANU-PF, were set up to run a functional economy like South Africa. They were not set up to run a country which is under autopilot like Zimbabwe. That's why Zimbabwe People's Party has come with all these myriad of diasporians with the experience from America, Canada, Germany, everywhere, to say we have the solutions, practical ones. Let's go and tackle the big elephant in the room.
Okay, so at the moment, what should happen? The economy is obviously not improving.
It will never improve.
Yes.
Come again with your last bit.
I'm saying, what should happen now? Because the economy is not improving. All these are firefighting.
That's firefighting. That's why ZPP is not moved. As ZPP, we also have our members are paying their money through EcoCash. So that money is locked up, and we don't care about that money, because if you convert it to American dollars, it's meaningless. So what we are saying here, Mr. Gambakwe, you asked a very good question. What needs to be done is firefighting can continue, or what they can fight like they are doing today, Monzora, this, Mutsuri, that, Chamisa, that, ED, that, or what. That will bring nothing. You can put MDC tomorrow, you can put ZANU-PF tomorrow back in power in 2023. Nothing will happen. Mark my words right now, and come back to me after another 20 or 40 years. The situation will sink deeper and deeper, because we don't have a political party in Zimbabwe which is set up to live and to correct the situation in Zimbabwe. So what we need is a political party which is set up in such a way that its governance will support what we call transparency and accountability. and plus meritocracy. Because when we have meritocracy, we have the right people on the jobs. When we have transparency, we have institutions and officers who are trusted by everybody, and people can want to do business with us.
Okay, so should Mnangagwa resign now?
If I was him, I would resign because it's meaningless. Or if I was him, I would try to find ways in which I can have actual involvement of people in diaspora, because they have the solutions. But what we do here is abuse of people in diaspora. People like Nick Mangwana, they come and he said, "You are a speaker," and he speaks nonsense every day. You look at MDC themselves. This doctor called Ngululeko Sibanda, he's in UK. He has the solutions to that party's problems. But he comes, he's told you a speaker. That's it. They don't know that they've got someone who should really be there to really tell them, guys, we can do this. They just relegate him to be a speaker of whatever they are doing. But the Zimbabwe People's Party is made up of people who are not speakers now, who are actors. We have been everywhere. We have the answers. Who are ready to get in and do things and make Zimbabweans smile again, because we haven't smiled for a long time.
Okay, but we said changing the president or changing the party won't help. What is the best way to go for it?
The best way to go for it, I can say people should start to assess the value of their votes. People should start to have faith in the children of the diaspora who are knocking on the doors of Zimbabwe, wanting to give solutions. Look at what happened to Malawi yesterday. The diaspora president is in power. Things will change. Look at what Zimbabweans need to do. We have people like Noah Manyika. He was there in 2018 elections. No one noticed him. He was knocking with solutions. We have Zimbabwe People's Party right now. People should come and partner with us and join. So we share these experiences of good governance and these ways of doing things. The reason why I'm saying it can't be fixed by ZANU-PF or by MDC, the situation where Zimbabwe is, it cannot be corrected by one man or a party led by one man. Said this is Edife or this is Chamisa Chete Chete. Branding people in a country which is running under autopilot does not work, doesn't bring solutions. You need a strong team. That's why in ZPP, we don't have a person in front. We have a strong team of people who are armed with solutions, not with insults, not with fighting. That's what Zimbabwe needs.
Okay.
And so you can trust us.
Please walk me through this. I want us to go a bit deeper into this.
Yes.
Mnangagwa has got a presidential advisory committee of over 20 people. He's got a cabinet.
Yes.
He's got a Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, Ministry of Finance. Surely people in there know how to fix these problems. Why is it that we are failing to fix these problems in Zimbabwe? What is the real problem?
You can be a very experienced doctor, but if you don't have the tools to use to do a surgical procedure, you can never be able to operate any person. That's why you find out that there are some surgical operations you cannot do at Perinatal Hospital. Very experienced doctors, but equipment is not there. Those people like Mtuli Nube, they're from the UK. They should know better. They are working in systems which are rotten to the core, systems which cannot sustain and support the real thing that is needed. So they are being abused to just try to move around the flames. So we really need a party like Zimbabwe People's Party, which is not being abused by those people, which is a standalone party coming to partner with the Zimbabweans at home, with their experiences of the suffering they've had, to say, guys, this is what we need to do. Guys, honestness pays. Guys, transparency pays. Let's do it. Let's introduce these new systems. Zimbabwe People's Party will ensure that we use technology to account for each and everybody. When you can account for each and everybody, you can then be able to control all these issues of money and all. You can be able to run a stable economy because you know where people are and where they live. But at the moment, it's a walk-in, walk-out situation. And what you see is the best you can get. That's the best Zimbabwe you can see, which you are seeing under MDC and the ZANU-PF MPs and councillors and presidents. That's the best. They cannot do better than this. If you expect them to do better than this, you'll be joking.
Okay, Mr. Jaison Midzi from the Zimbabwe People's Party, we've had a very interesting discussion. So I want you to give us your last word.
My last word is...
Yes, what should happen in terms of the current problems that we have now? People are struggling. The currency has dropped value. What should happen in the next month?
What should happen is, what I need to let Zimbabwe know is, one, Zimbabwe is a country that can only be fixed by constitutional means. Fighting is not going to help anything. Insulting one another is not going to help anything. Let's lower down, let's water down our hearts. Let's know that we don't know other things. Let's be willing to implement electoral reforms that can allow free and fair elections to be done. One. Two, as voters, let's not ululate leaders. Leaders are people we employ to run the country for us, or we can fire them anytime. As voters, let's shop around. Let's look at these political parties, their systems, their makeup. Is it that makeup which can take our country out of this problem? Or it's just, this is ED fair, this is Chamisa Chete Chete. You eat that for the next century, and I promise you, if people don't change, the masses, the people we have the power, if they don't change, because political parties are not supposed to remove the government. MDC is not supposed to remove ZANU-PF. They can tell you we want to remove ZANU-PF, but it can never happen. It's the people who remove ZANU-PF. It's the people who remove MDC. It's the people who put Zimbabwe People's Party in power. 2023, Zimbabweans should ensure that this suffering is coming to an end, and then give ownership or the running of the wards and these constituencies to the Zimbabwe People's Party. I'm telling you, things will happen. But as for now, if I can tell you to say the answer is this, with those people in power, I'm telling you, nothing works. Ask him Tuli Ngube in private. He will tell you, my friend, working with these thugs, nothing works. Ask Nick Mangwana from the UK. He will tell you, my friend, working with these people, it will never work. Ask Dr. Ngululeko Sibanda from the UK. He will tell you, working with these MDC, Chamisa Chete Chete, or Obiti, whatever people, it will not work, because those guys are testimonies. We have a dispensation, Zimbabwe People's Party, which is ready with everyone to come and do the things. And we're on the ground. Talk to us. Join the party. Ask what our policies are, and this is the issue. Nothing much. Transparency, accountability, meritocracy. Meritocracy is above all. Discipline. China is where it is under sanctions because the Chinese Communist Party enforces discipline. And we don't have that such a party in Zimbabwe at the moment which can enforce discipline. Because for you to enforce discipline, you need to be disciplined yourself. How does ZANU-PF enforce discipline when they are legalizing Mbanje so that they can be able to do the process of money laundering and clean the dirty money they are getting from elsewhere? It can't happen. So this is where we are as Zimbabweans.
Okay, so let us summarize this. We said that the problem we have in Zimbabwe is that there's money laundering, but the government does not know how to deal with money laundering because senior officials are involved in that money laundering.
Yes, Mr. Gambakwe, like I said, we have got sanctions. Our government does not know how to live under sanctions. So the next thing is chaos in the country and in its economics. And chaos means short dealings, which means money laundering. You know, around the world, if you bank 10,000 or more, they will ask you, where did you get it? They will block you. Even if you go to Western Union or World Rep or if I can say Western Union, if you bank more than 20,000, they block you. But in Zimbabwe, you can walk around with, you saw Obadiah Moyo came to court to pay his bail with 50,000. Who cares? No one cares to ask him, where did you get it?
Okay. And then you say banning the EcoCash or the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. Those measures will not work because they are not addressing the money laundering issues.
They are not addressing the real issues because we have to agree that we are under sanctions and we have to have a certain discipline which brings confidence in our internal economics. And money laundering is the order of the day in Zimbabwe at the moment. But some people don't follow the chain of money laundering, like Obadiah Moyo. Because in money laundering, I'll give you a simple example, Mr. Gambakwe. If you are a government official like Obadiah Moyo, you steal money like he did. That money, you have to kind of find a way of legitimizing it. Otherwise, he was going to give other people to bank for him or to keep for him, or buy properties like what we see people with these Porsche cars and all that stuff. They are all signs of, a bad economy which is being run by short deals, people who are trying to legitimize the illegitimate money that they have.
Okay. And then you said in terms of the diaspora, there are a lot of people in the diaspora who know how to fix this problem, but they cannot fix this problem when working under the same system of ZANU-PF or MDC that is currently existing.
That is very true. If anyone from South Africa or from Botswana, from UK, Germany, USA, Australia, if they tell you they can join MDC and ZANU-PF and perform very well, those people will be joking. They can only, when we have a diaspora president who has, lived and seen these things at work, working with a strong team, where we are not propagating the name of that diaspora president, but just simply the name. Like I've always asked people, do you know the Prime Minister of Australia? They don't know. But Australia is very well run. People are eating well every day. Do you know the Prime Minister of New Zealand or Canada? They don't know because it's strong teams which are running those countries. Zimbabwe needs a strong team, not a strong man.
Right, Mr. Jaison Midzi, I want to leave everything at that point that you just made, that Zimbabwe will only do well when we have a diaspora president with a strong team. Thank you very much for joining me again today. Is there anything that you want to say before we close for this week?
I wanted to inform you why we finally agreed to come to your show, Mr. Gambakwe. I think you understand that when we formed our party in June 2019, we talked and you were supposed to do some interviews with us to ask us what this is all about. We could not come to you because we wanted to understand what is it that Gambakwe media supports or portrays. Like I'll give you an example. A BBC or CNN, they portray Africa as a place of suffering. That's why when there was the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, BBC was busy in Soweto, showing people Soweto, but not showing people the glamour of the game in South Africa. When Mandela died, Obama was in the stadium. CNN were not in the stadium. They were in Soweto showing people the bad house that Nelson Mandela used to live and the bad surroundings. So they are about to showcase a bad Africa. So we were looking at what does Gambakwe showcase? We found out that Mr. Gambakwe does not showcase anything. Mr. Gambakwe simply wants people to showcase themselves and to bring news in their natural state. And then we said, oh, let's go and attend Mr. Gambakwe's show. So I would like to encourage you, Mr. Gambakwe, can you keep showing news in their raw state? Don't be like BBC, who show what their masters want to hear. Don't be like Zim I of Simbach Kanza, who only show what the MDC want to hear. Don't be like Herald of Zimbabwe or ZBC of Zimbabwe, who only show what their ZANU-PF handlers want to hear. Just be yourself as Gambakwe Media and continue showing this natural news for people to enjoy. They will start to identify with you in future. Like we did, we are a testimony in Zimbabwe people's part. We didn't want to work with you because we didn't know what you want to portray. Until we saw that you are portraying nothing, but you want people to show, you want to give natural news for people to make their own comments. That's why we came.
Thank you very much, Mr. Midzi. And I agree, we are only supposed to be a platform. We're not supposed to have our own agendas. And I thank you very much for giving me all these good words and also for supporting the platform. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gambakwe. See you in the next episode.
Thank you very much.